I'm Jim Emberger, and I'm with a group called the New Brunswick Anti-Shale Gas Alliance, which is a collection of groups around the province. We have like a two-fold mandate. One is to stop the unconventional oil and gas development in New Brunswick, and the second is to move us towards a clean energy economy, which is really the only hope for us in the future to meet both economic, energy, and environmental needs. As part of that, we started a campaign to do education about shale gas and oil, and which will lead to an electoral campaign where we find out what the candidates think, educate them, and let their constituents know what's going on. We developed a series of arguments, we call them, about topics on shale gas that aren't often covered by the media or the government, but which affect everyone in New Brunswick, whether they live in a shale gas area or not. Such things as tourism, healthcare costs, road damages, municipal water systems. There's about 10 different topics like that. But anyway, everybody can get this information if you go to shaleinfo.nb@gmail.com. Just send an email to that, and we will send you the links to all this information, which you can download your computer one topic at a time. You can also request a speaker to come to your area or to help you start a group. So that's one thing we're doing, and then we'll move into the electoral campaign where we take this information. Citizens will go to their representatives and say, look, here's the latest scientific information. What do you have to say about it? So we hope this will move the candidates to also figure out what's actually going on. And our second mandate then is to help with the drive towards a legal challenge. We need to fundraise to have a pool of money ready to do a legal challenge to this, regardless of which government gets elected next time around. So we've raised about 3/4 of the money that's necessary to do that, but we need to do the rest of it as quickly as possible. And you can donate to that at the second address down here, which is the website of NoShaleGasNB.ca. That's no, K-N-O-W, shalegasnb.ca. This is our organization, and this is what we're aiming for. First, to stop the development of unconventional oil and gas with a meaningful moratorium or ban, and finally to educate the public towards what we need to move towards a new clean energy economy. And I'm just going to turn this around for a second to see the positive part of our campaign. We're not just all about no, no, no. We're here about providing jobs and economic security for New Brunswick for the future, as opposed to the gas industry, which will bring a little prosperity for a few people for a couple years. So this is the way to go. You can see that 7 or 8 times as many jobs can be created in the clean energy economy than are created by oil and gas. The biggest opposition to shale gas these days is taking place in places that have already had it for years. For instance, Pennsylvania. The Democratic Party down there has now made a moratorium part of its official party platform. In Colorado this week, 5 of the biggest municipalities, the biggest cities in Colorado are voting on moratoriums, because as the shale gas has moved out of, shale gas and oil has moved out of the rural areas, it is moving close to and into the cities, which is something that can happen in New Brunswick too. People think this is merely a rural concern. It is not. Water is a problem everywhere in the world right now as droughts become longer and more severe and hotter, due to global warming, which of course is also associated with fossil fuels like shale gas and shale oil. So we're sort of shooting ourselves in the foot globally on this. There was a recent study a few months back from Duke University verifying that methane contamination of water wells is an ongoing and serious problem, and a similar study from the University of Texas, which found that drilling activity would pollute water wells up to 3 miles away, not with the chemicals necessarily that they put into the ground, but with the natural occurring toxic chemicals that already were in the ground, were stirred up by this activity and made their way into water wells. But what's happening in Texas and the Southwest is that these are places that are water stressed to begin with, and now essentially they're for instance, they've shut down the cattle industry and the cotton industry in these areas because there's no water left. The farmers find that, you know, the only thing they can do is sell water to the gas companies to use for fracking. So while everything else is shut down, you know, fracking continues. Of course, once the gas is gone, they're gone, and the farms will be gone, and the ranchers will be gone, and there will be basically nothing left. Shale gas makes money in the short term for the people who invest in it, but because the costs exceed the amount of money that you can actually sell it for, these companies all live on borrowed money and investors' money. So as time goes on, that's just an unsustainable situation. The wells deplete so quickly that you have to put in billions of dollars of new investment each year just to keep the levels where they are. So it hasn't proved an economic savior in that sense. In the energy field, while there is currently cheap gas for in the U.S. because of the shale gas, what's happening there is that in order to make money, when the price of shale gas goes up, their customers get rid of them. For instance, the people who produce electricity go to coal. As soon as shale gas gets up to about $54 a unit, they switch to coal. So when the price goes back down, if they overproduce, then they sell shale gas again. But now it's so cheap that they can't make a profit. So they're caught in this merry-go-round of basically, you know, no matter whether the price goes up, it's bad for the producers. So this is a short-lived phenomenon, and a lot of oil industry analysts have pointed this out. That you know, this business model basically for shale gas is just one that can't last for more than a few years. It's creating what they call a shale gas bubble, and we can already see parts of it happening as many companies have gotten out of the business or gone bankrupt. Nobody is making a profit on it. The president of Exxon said, you know, they're totally in the red for all the shale gas leases that they bought. And so its days are numbered regardless of what is done, basically. Companies aren't making money on the gas, but they promote, you know, how much potential there is there, and they get these bigger companies like the Exxons and the Shells to buy real estate at super inflated prices. And so that's how they're keeping from going bankrupt, is they're selling land that they bought cheap, you know, 10 years ago, and now are selling it to these latecomers to the game for money. So the big guys who buy it aren't making money on the gas, and the guys who sold the land are just doing it to cover their humongous losses. Like Chesapeake Energy is one of the biggest examples of that, where the company basically is in bankruptcy, and the only way it's getting out is to sell all its assets, sell all its land that had to unsuspecting, or maybe even suspecting, larger companies.
This is a peace camp. It's a longhouse. It's a gathering place. And what are we walking? That's what we call this place in our language. The Woolastogaweek, the Maliseet Grand Council is united with the Mi'kmaq in their effort to protect our lands and waters. And and also the allies also are in support of what we're doing, and that is to say that shale gas is not going to happen here. That's it. see the people coming together for once and for all. Our people are coming together. This is really strengthening our people, if anything. These whole things, the young people are coming, and our people are seeing some purpose in their life, and so the Grand Council can only grow from here, and that makes me happy.
Hey!